lot of people think in terms of, I want to be a leader, but what makes you a good representative? Politics is a practice. It's something that you learn by doing. This is boot camp for politicians, and we're political junkies. We love this stuff. These are our people. These are the people we enjoy being with because they share our passion. How do you, in that process of taking the perspective of another person, come to understand yourself better? The people who we elect to run these organizations, in fact, have very little training. As Preston Manning likes to point out, you need 30 hours of training to become a barista at Starbucks, but you don't need any training whatsoever to become an elected official.
In the old days, the idea was you could learn by doing. You got yourself elected and you kind of learned on the job, but these days that's almost impossible. You make one mistake and the instant communications, you can be in deep trouble before you ever get started.
What is the most important thing for me that you remember is that public service is an honorable profession. Serving as an elected official as part of public service is an honorable profession, and we need good, talented, wise, experienced people to be elected officials, because the world in which we live, it's a big, complex, difficult place. Well, Preston came to politics. Part of the reason he came to politics was to try to do politics differently, which is probably why we're all here today, too.
But my interest is in understanding how politicians think, how they work, how people make decisions, and I want to be able to help people or guide people to making a decision. That's my interest.
I'm interested in running for municipal, provincial, and federal politics later on in my life.
There are other people out there who are just as passionate about this as I am, and who are committed to trying to make politics work better and more effectively.
It was nice to step into someone else's shoes for once, and I really thought that was useful.
You take a group of people, you can do this in a classroom, but boy, when you walk into the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia and you look at that beautiful building, all of the history that it represents, and you've got all of these portraits of former premiers, cabinet officials, and so forth, members of the legislature, and you sit down in one of those rooms, there's a tendency to really take on the role.
So I need to know what constituency you want to represent. So.
Okay, Alison Patton, Minister of Public Works, Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Jordan Marks, Minister of Justice, Toronto Centre.
My name is Sharday Bucher. I am the Right Honourable Prime Minister, proudly representing the riding of Medicine Hat, Alberta.
It was kept simple, the bills were kept simple, but very, very effective bills. It was light on the material and heavy on the practical side.
Will they do this? Will they do that? We're just saying the Change Party, thinks this is important. So we'll leave it to Rance in the second half to propose our amendment, which we'll have to wordsmith a little.
It could also happen with the e-health. Does anybody see the parallel there? No?
So if we're not on our speaking order, then yeah, I guess.
And then just to go back to the questions.
There's a kind of skill set, there's knowledge and motivation that you need to be an effective parliamentarian, and that can be acquired primarily through practice.
Government protects your rights, not an outside corporation.
Right.
That, although it would be acting as the agent of the government, it's still really iffy.
But it would still does that mean that I have to get them to send me? Like, are they gonna send them a fax or what?
It's a huge issue. I propose that is the amendment. It is cross
and it's a really good question
too.
There are no opt-outs
really good for any provinces.
You have to be really much like a reporter. You have to sell your position, and if you don't sell it, then it's not heard in the caucus level, and it may not come forward on the floor.
What I see is that there's two options. You either give that mandate to the provinces, province by province. They have their chunks of information that they individually maintain.
I learned that it's really easy to get stuck into the status quo of things.
It is really easy to fall into existing roles. We need to experiment a bit more with what Parliament could look like. What is this model Parliament that we're talking about? Because I feel like we're just scratching the surface here. So really digging deeper.
for Madam Speaker.
We had a reasonable representation of women. It wasn't 50-50, but it was, I think it was 40-60, which is pretty close. Better than the federal parliament, in fact. And one of the things that was really interesting was that it was, in fact, many of the women who rose to leadership positions.
We really can't expand, and so then he could finish with that this bill is only legitimizing further expansion.
Which is
right?
A fantastic point. Yeah.
Okay.
There's an issue of incidents and accidents. And what does the statistics tell us? Well, you know, in Canada, we've had a very low level of incidents.
When they do not even consult those with the end users of the service. We can't wait for more justice.
That minister is still involved in that decision making, and that conflict of interest is still occurring. That is not okay for Canadians. That is not a responsible approach to governance. And I would like to ask.
Also working across the aisle with the opposition parties to make things work and to pass these two bills and sort of prove that people that may not have the type of experience that real legislators do can work something out.
And I'd like to thank the leader of the Change Party for that insightful question.
Learned that politics can sometimes be a very frustrating, you know, sometimes even scary thing.
The Honourable Minister of the Environment, seconded by the Minister of Defence, moves that bill.
I found it like I was totally encaptured in it the entire time.
Point out that the nomination came from the other side. So it was a brilliant display of civility from the opposition to nominate.
Solidified my drive to get into politics.
I was particularly pleased to be exposed to the press scrum. I found that extremely helpful.
So, Clarence, there's been, as a Minister of Environment, you must be aware of the incredible concerns Canadians have.
I really didn't know what to expect going into this beyond hearing some, I guess, war stories from the practitioners.
You don't learn something like politics only from textbooks, and you don't learn it just from lectures. You need experienced practitioners to sit down with you and say, that was great. He hit it right on that time.
And the repartee that goes back and forth that I saw here, I think is excellent.
I thought the tone was very good, all of it. Respectful, but some bite.
It was very, very impressive. And I agree with Mike. You are the future.
From what I've seen so far, you're ready to leave AAA and go to the big leagues.
I congratulate you to spend your weekends like this. I just think it's fantastic because we need more people like you.